Welcome to Michael Keaton Month on Pod Me If You Can. Today's first film, Clean and Sober, which falls after Beetlejuice but before Batman.
I'm Batman.
Clean and Sober stars Michael Keaton as well as Morgan Freeman, and it stars a man who is on a drug bender. Michael Keaton plays Daryl Pointer, and he wakes up next to a comatose woman, and she has done some cocaine with him, and basically it hasn't worked out well for her. She's comatose, as I said, and he's skipping town. He's freaking out about this. We learn that his whole life is a pattern. He's drinking, he drives under the influence of alcohol, he does drugs, he steals from friends, he abuses everything, everybody he knows. He's a drug addict, and he's also a hotshot real estate agent, so it's starting to affect his work as now the law is involved. He takes his choice to hide out from police in a rehab center because it's all confidential and because nobody will be able to say, oh yeah, sure, here he is. If somebody calls for him or asks for him, it's confidential. They can't say, yeah, Daryl Pointer, here he is. So he hides. His counselor, after a detox, is played by Morgan Freeman. So Craig is his counselor, and he says, do you know what the addict's least favorite word is? No, which is now the journey of Daryl Pointer. He's going to have his life shut down and turned around. Special cameo, Tate Donovan is his roommate Donald, which just is a very small character that he plays. This film has the vibe of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest meets Fight Club. There's a very support group kind of element, which is the Fight Club part, but also this Cuckoo's Nest vibe. But like he's very similar to the character Jack Nicholson plays in many ways. They try and find these sponsors at an AA meeting, Lloyd, and we see M. Emmett Walsh, who of course pops up in every other Pod Me If You Can review on this YouTube channel. The girl who was comatose in this film dies, which leads to her father littering his neighborhood with flyers saying he's a killer and completely changing everybody's perception of him. So Michael Keaton, in this has to play so many emotional levels, and I think this was a dramatic departure from all the comedies that he was doing at the time. There's a two-hour runtime on this, which you sort of think to yourself, it feeds into the mentality that addicts have to do this one day at a time, and you sort of have to push through this 120 minutes, 1 minute at a time in his road to recovery. So, the duration almost seems appropriate for this film. The musical score, however, is slow, instrumental, boring. Just couldn't get into it at all. The romantic subplot, of course, for Michael Keaton, he has a love interest in this film, Kathy Baker. It's not the strongest. She is somebody very bad for him. It's bad for her recovery that she's with him, and basically, the whole thing doesn't really work, if you ask me. It's a very heavy, talky film with no real violence or action to particularly break up the drama, so it's kind of dry. This is kind of like eating breakfast cereal with no milk. But the great thing is Keaton in this film, and it's a great one to kick off Michael Keaton Month. There's this scene where Michael Keaton calls his mother to ask her for $30,000, and you only see his side of the phone call, but it's so well played and so dramatic that you just know everything she's saying. You can make up the rest because of the way he reacts and the way her, disappointment would have fed down the line of the phone. Look, at the end of the film, this is only a 30-day duration. He's after his 30-day chip by the end of the film. So, this is like you really setting up how long it would take for a person to break an addiction of drugs or alcohol. A very enjoyable film, despite it being so dry. And I think Michael Keaton has everything to do with that. So Roger Ebert had praised the film with superb supporting performances, which I completely agree with. And Variety wondered if the film was perhaps too grim for audiences, because it isn't really the subject matter that you'd expect. It's not a film you watch to be entertained. it's more informative and very well performed, Lloyd.
Yeah, I heard about this film on a podcast, and it was on Batman, and they were talking about how there was such a huge backlash on the casting of Michael Keaton, and a lot of, like Tim Burton was heavily defending Michael Keaton, like, I know he's perfect for Batman, and the one film that was shown around was this movie showcasing that he's just not just a comedic actor, he has a huge variety of drama to his arsenal, and yeah, so I'm really curious to check this movie out. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's a very good showcase of Michael Keaton.
It definitely is, and it's a great one to kick off this month of Michael Keaton films. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to have 4 of these, one for each week of this month. And yeah, we're all in love with Michael Keaton at the moment because of Birdman, the awards season passing, and look, it's going to be a great time. And if you want more from us, you can check it out at podmeifyoucan.com.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Check out our podcast at www.podmeifyoucan.com.